At 10:25 p.m., Dietrich spots the first low-flying twin-engine plane skimming the treetops from the north. It's not dropping bombs. It's not climbing away. It's aligned perfectly with the main runway. Gear up, dropping fast. 3 more appear behind it. The anti-aircraft gunners, exhausted after 2 hours of high-altitude fire, swing their barrels downward. Their weapons are overheated, crews fatigued, and these intruders don't match any pattern they've seen. The lead sally comes in at rooftop level. Perimeter Marines open up with everything they've got. Tracers streak flat across the night. The transport shudders, rolls violently left, and disintegrates before reaching the threshold. Burning debris rains across the northern scrub. 5 minutes later, 3 more sallies race in low, gear retracted. Guns from east and west blaze simultaneously. One catches fire in the left engine and cartwheels into the dirt south of the strip. Another soaks up dozens of rounds and breaks apart on impact. The third takes a direct 40mm hit. Its left wing shears off midair and crashes onto a searchlight position manned by Corporal Levante Al Miller and Private Nathaniel Collinsworth of the 16th Anti-Aircraft Artillery Battalion. The massive aluminum slab buries both men. They become the first American fatalities that night, not from bullets, but from 3 tons of falling wreckage. From the tower, Dietrich watches the fireballs and crisscrossing tracers, but one sally remains unseen by all. It flies even lower, no lights, wheels up. It slips past southern defenses and belly slams onto the northeast-southeast runway around 10:30 p.m. The fuselage scrapes coral for 200 yards in a shower of sparks and dust, sliding to a halt just 100 meters from the tower. Dietrich is the first to spot the aftermath. The nose cracks open. 10 or 12 figures drop out, armed, moving with lethal speed. No pause, no regrouping. They split into pairs and sprint toward the nearest parked planes. Kelly sees it too. He doesn't hesitate. Grabbing his .45 service revolver, he races down the ladder, jumps into a jeep, and floors it straight toward the crashed transport. A young pilot, sidearm in hand, charging alone into a dozen commandos with automatic weapons and explosives. Across the field, First Lieutenant Clark Campbell of VMF N542, the Tigers, hears the crash. At 28, he knows every inch of Yontan. He's taxied it, walked it, worked on it for weeks. He instantly realizes this isn't bombing. Troops have landed on their own base. Campbell grabs Technical Sergeant Chandler Beasley, both armed only with pistols they had for the flight line, fully aware that 150 fueled American aircraft sat exposed like tinder. Within 60 seconds of touchdown, the first grenade slams into a Corsair, then another. The eastern fuel dump ignites in a towering pillar of flame visible for miles. The raiders move methodically, just as rehearsed. One clamps a satchel or magnetic charge to a larger plane, a privateer or C-47, while his partner hurls phosphorus grenades at fighters nearby. They advance east to west, targeting the thickest clusters of Corsairs. From the tower, Dietrich tracks the spreading fires. One Corsair ablaze near the northeast runway, then a second. A privateer erupts 30 yards down, wings folding as tanks explode. The eastern fuel dump becomes an inferno, 70,000 gallons gone in minutes. The blaze bathes the entire field in harsh orange light, casting long black shadows from every plane, truck, and running man. Private Jack Kelly, a mechanic working on a Corsair engine when the alarm hit at 10:30, dives into a nearby bunker with a dozen unarmed crewmen. Through the entrance, he hears grenades popping against fuselages, submachine guns cracking, burning fuel glows on the clouds above. They can only wait, pray someone armed arrives before the raiders do. Kelly reaches the crash site in his jeep. He draws his revolver and opens fire on the nearest shadowy figure in the firelight. Accounts vary on what follows. Some say he switched on a searchlight to expose the raiders and was cut down by automatic fire. Others say he drove straight in and was killed at close range. What is certain, First Lieutenant Maynard C. Kelly falls within minutes of leaving the tower, the first Marine slain by enemy bullets on Yontan that night. Technical Sergeant Roderick Wogan, also with the 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing, dies nearby in the opening frenzy from small arms fire. Details blur in the smoke and chaos. The core issue wasn't bravery. It was that Yontan was an airfield, not a fortified position. These men were aviators, technicians, armorers. Their rifles sat locked in armories or stowed in tents. Anti-aircraft guns, designed for sky targets, couldn't depress low enough to hit enemies weaving between parked planes. Campbell and Beasley pushed through the madness toward the flight line. Explosions drift westward. The raiders are heading deeper, toward the main fuel reserves in the densest aircraft parking. If the Commandos reach the western dispersal, where VMF N533's night fighters sit, Yontan's Kamikaze interception rate could collapse for days. Campbell starts dragging men from bunkers, mechanics, armorers, anyone able-bodied. Grab a weapon, get to the line. What he finds is worse than the fires. Armed Marines shooting at anything that moves. Tracers whip across taxiways in wild arcs. Rifles crack from foxholes, revetments, runway edges. In the flickering orange glow, every shadow looks like an enemy. Every Marine dashing between planes risks friendly bullets. Friendly fire erupts almost immediately after the first grenade. Perimeter anti-aircraft crews, blind to the ground fight, unleash 20mm cannons designed for high-altitude planes, now tearing through the flight line. Men in holes fire at unidentified silhouettes. Stressed mechanics empty magazines into darkness without knowing their targets.
Imagine this. It's late May 1945. The Battle of Okinawa rages on. American forces have turned a captured Japanese airstrip into a vital hub for fighter planes that are shredding incoming kamikaze attacks. One base in particular, Yontan Airfield, is the lifeline protecting the fleet offshore. Lose it for even a single day, and hundreds more suicide planes could slip through to slam into U.S. ships. On the evening of May 24th, in the control tower overlooking the sprawling field, Staff Sergeant Robert Dietrich, a 28-year-old from Cincinnati serving with Marine Aircraft Group 31, stares out into the darkness. Below him stretch 3 coral runways lined with over 150 aircraft, Corsairs ready for dawn patrols, Hellcats, massive privateer patrol bombers, and C-47 transports. Fuel dumps along the taxiways hold 70,000 gallons of high-octane aviation gasoline, enough to keep the skyfighters flying non-stop. Dietrich had been at Yontan since April 7th, when his group ferried 80 Corsairs ashore from escort carriers. In just 7 weeks, this once quiet strip had exploded into the island's busiest airfield. Day and night, Marine and Army Air Force squadrons launched missions. Day fighters patrolled the radar picket line to swat down kamikazes before they reached the destroyers. Night fighters scrambled after sunset for intercepts. Ground crews worked tirelessly, rearming and refueling planes so they could lift off again at first light. Beside Dietrich stands First Lieutenant Maynard Kelly, only 22, a night fighter pilot from VMF N533, the Black Max Killers, led by Lieutenant Colonel Marion Magruder. Kelly had earned his wings back in 1943 and arrived on Okinawa just 3 weeks earlier, flying only a handful of combat sorties so far. Tonight, he's on radio duty. A third Marine works quietly with them. From their elevated perch, the 3 men command a clear view across the entire base. Dietrich knows exactly how critical Yontan is. Every morning, Corsairs roar down the runways and climb toward the picket stations, where Navy destroyers wait nervously for the next wave of Divine Wind attackers. Planes from this field alone knock down nearly 60% of the kamikazes before they can reach the fleet. If the base goes offline, even temporarily, the suicide planes would break through in devastating numbers. For weeks, Japanese bombers have hammered Yontan almost nightly. The routine is predictable. High-altitude attackers sweep in, drop bombs across the runways, and trigger massive walls of anti-aircraft tracers from the 1st Provisional Anti-Aircraft Artillery Group. The ground crews have learned the rhythm. Brace, fire back, assess damage, repeat. Tonight starts the same way. Just after 8 p.m., bombers appear overhead, fast and high. From 9:10 to 10:05, 2 passes drop ordnance, but nothing vital is hit. The guns quiet down. Kelly turns to Dietrich with a wry grin. I'd pay $50 to get up there and take a real shot at one. Then everything changes. Moments later, 3 more bombers streak across at once. Kelly's voice sharpens. The stakes just went way up. Those high-level runs were a clever diversion. 50 conventional bombers had been sent first to draw away the night fighters and drain the anti-aircraft crew's energy. Behind them, slipping under the radar just 150 feet, come 5 surviving Ki-21 transports, allied codename Sally, each packed with elite commandos from the Giretsu Special Airborne Unit. Captain Chuichi Suwabe leads the flight crews. Each plane carries about a dozen raiders, handpicked and trained by Captain Michiro Obiyama for this one desperate mission. Their weapons, submachine guns, satchel charges, phosphorus grenades. Their orders are brutally simple. Crash land on the runway, destroy as many American planes as possible, and fight to the death. No retreat, no extraction. What unfolds next transforms a routine airfield into a savage ground battlefield, where pilots, mechanics, and technicians become reluctant infantry.
From the tower, Dietrich sees muzzle flashes ring the field, some aimed at raiders, others at fellow Americans. Bullets punch through the wooden tower walls. He and the other operator drop below the windows, staying low while still watching the inferno. Many of the 27 wounded Marines that night were hit by their own side. After-action reports noted plainly, no blame assigned. In pitch-black chaos, with explosions, burning fuel, and unseen enemies among the planes, there was no clear front line, no safe direction. Every armed man decided for himself what was threat and what was friend. Some decisions went tragically wrong. Campbell realizes the madness ends only with order. He and Beasley move along the line, not just hunting raiders, but organizing Marines into groups, assigning sectors, halting fire into friendly areas. This wasn't Campbell's training. Night fighter pilots master radar intercepts in darkness, not small unit ground tactics. But he has one edge: intimate knowledge of Yontan's layout from daily operations. He forms a rough skirmish line facing west, the raiders' direction of advance. Beasley anchors one flank. Technical Sergeant Jerome Rubble from VMF 542 directs fire against movement near the eastern dump, dropping one raider before his charge explodes. The Commandos press on. Another Corsair ignites near the western dispersal, then a C-47. They place charges precisely: satchels on fuselages, phosphorus in cockpits, incendiaries in wheel wells, rehearsed on Kyushu mock-ups. Each man aims to take at least 2 planes before dying. Death is the plan. No pickup, no escape. By 11 p.m., 9 aircraft are total losses, fire spreading. 29 more damaged by blasts and fragments. Campbell's line holds the east, but shots and blasts still echo west. Somewhere in the choking smoke, raiders live, plant charges, fulfill their mission until the end. The stench arrives first: scorched rubber, gasoline, and the sickly sweet odor of melting aluminum. Fuel dump smoke hangs low, mixing with phosphorus haze. Dietrich, crouched on the tower floor, breathes through his sleeve. Visibility drops to 50 yards, clears with each blast, then closes again. Campbell's line advances west in cautious bounds. Step, halt, listen, watch for movement against fire glow, advance. His fighters are grease-stained mechanics and armorers, rifles fresh from armories, hands still dirty from engines. Raiders operate in loose pairs or trios across half a mile, no radios needed. Each carries phosphorus grenades burning at 2,000 degrees and a pistol for the final act. Near the western dispersal, a small group reaches unhit corsairs. A satchel blasts a wing tank, fire races along the ground, leaps to the next fighter. In 90 seconds, 3 burn in a chain lighting the west. Rubble's team charges the sound, finds a raider fixing a charge to a C-47's gear. Rubble shoots him down, but too late. The plane erupts, debris scatters, forcing a fallback. Time is the enemy. Every living commando means another lost aircraft. Campbell counts at least a dozen burning hulks from his position. The eastern dump is ash. If the western falls, Yontan's fuel reserve vanishes. Overhead, Lieutenant Colonel Magruder and his VMF N-533 Hellcats circle low on fuel. They were airborne hunting bombers when the raid began. Magruder radios the tower. Dietrich sees wreckage blocking runways and diverts them to Kadena, 5 miles south. On the ground, the hunt continues. Campbell sends Marine pairs to sweep taxiways and revetments. Every wrecked plane is a potential ambush spot. Commandos could hide behind collapsed wings or inside charged fuselages. They clear methodically. One approaches, one covers, like room clearing, but these men had never done it before. By midnight, gunfire slows, longer pauses between blasts. Either the raiders are red or hiding. Campbell knows one success. His line reached the western fuel dump, still intact. Post-midnight, he shifts to defense. Static positions at critical spots. The western dump, surviving night fighters, runway approaches. Any remaining raider crossing open ground with silhouette against fires. Beasley holds near western dispersal. Rubble covers the southern taxiway. Campbell patrols between, adjusting fire lanes, preventing friendly incidents. The wild shooting that tore the field for 90 minutes fades. Men grasp the new system. Hold sector, watch front, identify before firing. It took an hour and a half to force panicked airfield workers into a functional perimeter. Without manuals, without higher command, without knowing enemy numbers left. Answers emerge slowly. One raider spotted near northeast runway, behind the crash Sally, shot down. 20 minutes later, another in a burned C-47, pistol and grenade in hand, no surrender, shot on sight. Through early morning, more were found, crawled into ditches, wedged in revetment gaps. Some already dead from their own blasts or initial gunfire. None tried to surrender, none called out, none raised hands. Dietrich stays in the tower all night. When firing eases, he stands again, scanning. In the early hours, he spots one last figure moving south of the main runway. From his vantage, he fires. The figure drops. Later, Dietrich tells combat correspondent Sergeant Claude Cupp he shot the first raider he saw, and the last still moving. Cupp spent the night in a perimeter foxhole, hearing explosions, gunfire, ammo cooking off and fires. In following days, he hunted down Dietrich and Addix, recording their stories on thin onion-skin paper, the only surviving detailed eyewitness accounts. At 3 a.m., Magruder's Hellcats get clearance back from Kadena. Marines have hand-pushed and bulldozed wreckage clear. Magruder lands between fires, on a strip lit only by burning corsairs. Dawn breaks at 5:30 a.m. Night smoke rises in a gray pillar visible from offshore ships. Campbell's line holds positions. Firing has ceased, but at least one raider remains unaccounted for, in the field or nearby brush. Daylight exposes the toll. Campbell and Beasley walk the line at 6 a.m. 3 corsairs reduced to blackened frames and twisted gear in melting aluminum pools. 2 privateers split open by charges. 4 C-47s gutted. 29 more scarred by blasts, fragments, scorch. 22 corsairs, 3 Hellcats, 2 more privateers, 2 transports. Eastern dump, charred crater. Marine infantry arrives from south at first light, methodically clearing what Campbell began. 4-man teams sweeping wreckage, revetments, ditches. They find 69 Japanese bodies scattered across field and scrub, killed by gunfire, own explosives, or self-inflicted when ammo ran out. No prisoners, no surrenders. The belly-landed Sally sits where it stopped, 100 meters from tower. 11 bodies inside and around, including crew. A map on one officer shows Yontan's layout with precise red crosses on VMF N-533 Hellcats and Magruder's tent. They knew exactly where to strike, but never reached the night fighters. American losses, 4 dead. Kelly and Wogan from enemy fire. Allmiller and Collinsworth crushed by wing. 27 wounded, many from friendly fire in the dark confusion. By 7:40 a.m., runway cleared. Engineers bulldoze wreckage. Ordnance sweeps for duds. Damaged planes towed. By 8 a.m., first corsairs roll, climb toward picket stations. The fleet still waits. Yontan operational again in under 10 hours. The raid, Operation Gigo, scored visible hits. 38 aircraft affected. Fuel dump gone. 4 men lost. But it failed strategically. Burned corsairs replaced in days. Fuel supplied. Targeted night fighters untouched. Kamikaze interception rate held steady. Kelly earns a posthumous Navy Cross. Technical Sergeant Jerome Rubble gets a Bronze Star for fire direction, killing at least 1 raider, shielding his men. Campbell and Beasley get no recorded awards. They just did what was needed, then flew night fighter missions next evening. 2 Marines from the 8th Anti-Aircraft Battalion find a sleeping Japanese officer in jungle post-battle. Shoot him. Both court-martialed. Even after such a night, rule stood. Last raider found at 1:25 p.m. May 25th. Quarter-mile Flying Mag 31 HQ. Shot in brush. Survived nearly 15 hours on a base swarming with hunters. No surrender. 1 commando escaped entirely. Reached Japanese 32nd Army HQ around June 12th. 18 days later. His name lost to American records. His report changed nothing. 32nd Army crumbling. Okinawa falls June 21st. Japanese command deemed the raid a success. Planned larger follow-up. Operation Kanogo. 60 transports, 900 commandos against Saipan, Tinian, Guam B-29 bases. August 19th to 21st. Cancelled August 15th. Emperor Hirohito surrender. Dietrich returns to Cincinnati. His story, captured by Cupp on Onionskin, sits in binders for decades. Cupp, ex-sports editor from South Carolina, resumes journalism, preserves specific dispatches. Family keeps them after his 1999 death. Daughter Linda rediscovers the Dietrich interview, published in Naval History magazine 2010, 65 years later. Magruder commands VMF N-533 through Okinawa's end. His Black Max killers downed 5 incoming bombers that night, the very planes the Giretsu targeted but missed. Campbell and Beasley resume night ops with VMF N-542. Squadron earns Presidential Unit Citation for April to August 1945 actions. Majors Robert Porter and Wallace Sigler become Okinawa's first night fighter aces from the same field Campbell defended on foot with pistol and mechanics. Kelly, 22, raised by grandparents in Seattle, commissioned 1943, on island 3 weeks, buried in Marine Cemetery on Okinawa. first to fight back. All Miller and Collinsworth, lesser-known losses. Anti-air gun gunners who never saw the enemy land. Yontan today, gone. Reverted to farmland after occupation. No runways, no tower, no revetments. Crushed coral, Kelly's Jeep Cross, now buried under soil and crops for 70 years. But that night happened. Mechanics grabbed rifles. A pilot raced a Jeep into gunfire with a revolver. A tower operator witnessed it all from above the flames, and survived to tell. These ordinary men in extraordinary circumstances deserve remembrance. If this forgotten chapter of the Pacific War gripped you, smash that like button. It shows these stories still matter. Subscribe to WW2 Impact and hit the bell. You won't want to miss the next Untold mission. Comment below, if you were a mechanic on that airfield, unarmed until the last second, with a transport full of commandos landing 100 meters away, what would you have done? Drop your thoughts and tell us where you're watching from. Country, city, anywhere. Every comment helps WW2 Impact reach more people passionate about preserving these histories. These men didn't fight for glory. They fought because the field was theirs, and someone had to hold it. Thanks for watching WW2 Impact. More epic WW2 stories coming soon. Stay history strong.